Hello, this is Catherine at I Know I Need to Stop Talking. Hello, lovelies, how are we doing? I mean, I've very nearly had a very mortifying moment this week, thanks to all of you. So I had to do a presentation via Zoom for work. I mean, are we all a bit over, those of us who've worked remotely in the last 18 months, are we all a bit over at staring at our own faces while doing meetings and presentations? I so am. I now have a fringe, which I didn't have pre-lockdown, because prior to Zoom and Teams meetings, I had no idea that my forehead was so large. It's a gift. Anyway, I nearly had a mortifying moment because I was doing a presentation. I finished my presentation, and so I went to end it and kind of said, okay, thanks very much, as you do, and then was like meant to close and stuff. But I automatically started going into my podcast spiel, and it was only some miraculous sense of self-preservation that stopped me signing off. Lots of love, which would have been really, really, really difficult to try and explain away in a professional environment. So I'm really glad that I didn't. But yeah, I blame all of you guys for that entirely. Oh, it's been a week. Even the lots of love almost faux pas aside, it's been a week. So for those of you who listened to last week's podcast, Jamie has COVID, or he had COVID. I think he is now COVID free. I've forced him to do one of the lateral flow tests every day because I find it grimly fascinating to see how the red line has finally got fainter. And I know that's a really bad use of excess plastic. So apologies, I clearly haven't been in insane mind, although I don't think anybody can blame me after this week. So Jamie had COVID. Thankfully, touch wood, he is fully recovered. I'm just off the scale grateful, because clearly we all worry about our kids more than anything in the world, and a novel untested virus is always a little bit nerve-wracking when it's your children going through it. But touch wood, he is back, not only back at school, he is also back now to grazing his way through the contents of the fridge. So on the downside, I'm going to have to up my supermarket shopping again with this really weird period at the beginning of last week when he was so poorly. He actually kind of wasn't eating anything, and I kept going to open my fridge, and it was still as full as I'd seen it the last time. Yeah, very, very discombobulating. Anyway, pleased to confirm that's now fully resolved, and he's back to the typical eating habits of a teenage boy. So he got COVID, recovered from COVID, and then at the start of the week, Beth came down with COVID. Although we had a weird situation where she had a negative PCR, and I was like, you're definitely poorly. I'm not going to send you back to school until we've had another PCR test. And she had a positive lateral flow test and now a positive PCR. Thankfully, again, touch wood, she's had what seems like a nasty cold, so she's mostly fine. But poor Beth, what it does mean is tomorrow is her birthday, means she's going to be spending her 11th birthday isolating. And my heart absolutely wrenched when I had to tell her. I had the text come through on my phone, and she'd kind of been convincing herself of me. She's like, I think I'm probably fine. I think it was just a weird test. I think I've just got a mild cold. She said, I think I've just got a mild cold. I feel fine. And then I had to go and tell her that she had COVID, and she bore it out like really stoically and really bravely. And then I went to tell Jamie, and then she just collapsed. And Beth, who never cried and said to me, I feel so bad about crying because I know how lucky I am, and I know how lovely you'll make my birthday anyway, but I'm just so disappointed. And yeah, I don't blame her. 11 years old, if I'd had to delay my birthday party celebrations, I would have been, I mean, she was beyond stoic, I think, compared to what I would have been like. But she's been absolutely amazing. She has rallied really quickly. Like I say, touch wood, again, she's looking loads better and loads brighter. So hopefully we can still have amazing birthday celebrations at home tomorrow. But yeah, fucking COVID. And I say that in the context of knowing how utterly fortunate we are in the grand scheme of things, and clearly, you know, people who've not made it through, who've died of COVID, or have had loved ones long-term suffering with COVID. So I say this all slightly tongue-in-cheek, but I do also feel the acute pain of being an 11-year-old girl and not being able to see your mates on your birthday. It's shit. On the flip side, it was Jamie's birthday this week, on Wednesday, his last day of self-isolation. He was living his absolute fucking best life. I was, again, kind of, you know, because even though he'd been like, oh, well, it's cool, you know, day off school for my birthday, I was still a bit like, oh, maybe he's playing it cool. Maybe he really wants to be with his friends on his birthday. No, he's a teenage boy. So in actual fact, a day where he had carte blanche to sit at home in his dressing gown in front of his PC all day and then get Domino's pizza ordered in for tea was an absolute dream. It's my best birthday ever, he said to me. God love him. Yeah, still for Jamie, the pandemic is the gift that keeps on giving. He regularly has said to me in the last 18 months, it's just been the best time of my life. So it's good to know that one of us will have happy memories of the great pandemic of 2020, for fuck's sake. But yeah, so he had a lovely birthday, and I always like to use the kids' birthdays to reflect a little bit on, you know, the year that's just gone, and the age that they are, and the people that I see them growing up into to be. And it was just a real joy to write the post that I did this week on Jamie's birthday, which some of you might have read, which when the kids were little, and I've made no secret of how hard I found parenting my kids when they were like under fives. I just did not enjoy it, and it's only now I'm confident enough to be able to say it felt like a slog. I didn't enjoy it. And if that helps just one other person out there finding the early years a bit of a slog, then to me it's more than worth it. And I'm really open with my kids about that as well, because I do think it's important that parenting is an utter privilege, but that doesn't mean it's fucking easy. And I do think we all find our time, and my time was so not fucking those early years. That was like the reverse of my time. it was not good times. But almost to add insult to injury are the people who like to, and I don't think, I mean, you know, I like to think the best of people. I don't think they do it to be arses, but nevertheless, that is what they come across, because there's a lot of people who like to kind of comment when people are finding things tough. I mean, there's a couple of schools of thought, right? There's either the, you know, or you'll miss these days when they're gone. Hand on heart, I miss fuck all about those years when Jamie would only sleep for 30 minutes at a time and was awake for about 6 hours of every 8 overnight. I miss nothing about that time. Hugely grateful to have him. I miss nothing. So there's people who are like, oh, you'll miss it when it's gone, make the most of it. Fuck off. I mean that in a really loving way, but fuck off. You have no idea how soul destroying as it feels to be a new parent, counting down the fucking hours until it got better. That was what I was hoping for. And have somebody going, oh, you'll make the most of it. You'll miss it when it's gone. No, I did not. So that's one school of thought. And then there's the other people who go, oh, you think it's bad now? Just wait for their teenage years. And I do get it, because I get it that these are people who are either, you know, emotionally really missing those early years, or people who've had really tough times going through the teenage years. And goodness me, you know, my kids are about to turn 11 and 14, so I'm under no illusions that I've like seen the teenage years out or anything. I completely get that things could still, you know, the shit could still hit the fan big time. But this whole thing of, oh, just you wait till the teenagers, and I've had loads of people say it to me, and while I'm massively empathetic to their own experiences, I think teenagers just get a shit press, right? Teenagers are so demonised in our society, and sure, there's some total assholes of teenagers out there, but you know what? There's some total assholes of adults out there as well. Being a teenager there's not like a weird Venn diagram where that's an automatic crossover with being an adult. So firstly there's that, but also even the teenagers who are challenging, and you know there's loads of teenagers out there who are absolutely fucking lovely, nicer than lots of adults, and I love the challenges. I love the fact they ask me the hard fucking questions. I love the fact that we're kind of like working out the boundaries together, and I'm like bricking it when Jamie's going off and seeing his mates by himself and like stalking him on a tracking app and wondering whether I should get him microchipped. I'll just raise that one again for any listeners of a nervous disposition. Rest assured, I did not get Jamie microchipped. Fucking thought about it, but it's illegal. So we make do with the tracking app. But I love this bit, and maybe next year, next month, next week, I'll stop loving it. But for those moments where we are really enjoying it, let us enjoy it. Stop with the, this time next year it could be shit. Well, it could be. Of course it could be, but don't piss on other people's chips. I really like that as a phrase, pissing on chips. I've got no idea where it came from. Did somebody actually piss on somebody's chips? Because that's a terrible thing to do. Although, maybe that's where the whole vinegar on chips comes from, because vinegar on chips, and I'm sorry if you like vinegar on chips, but it's a bit of an aberration. In my personal opinion, if you like vinegar on chips, I am not here to piss on your literal or metaphorical chips. Good. I have no idea how I've ended up banging on about chips. But yeah, so my post on Wednesday was just really to celebrate these days, to celebrate the good days. And my plea to everybody is we all, and I'm bad at it as well, I know, I am definitely bad about projecting my experience of the early years onto other people, and I'm trying to make a conscious effort not to do it, because I know loads of people love the newborn days, and love the toddler days, and love being at home all day with their children, and fucking fantastic. Like, who is it for any of us to deny other people joy in their lives when those people aren't hurting people? Who is it for any of us to kind of piss on those metaphorical chips and go, well, it's going to be shit soon, or you should be making the most of these things? Just let People get on with it. I was going to say, let sleeping lions lie. I think I may have conflated a party game and it's sleeping dogs lie. Is it, or is it horses? Oh, I don't know. Sleeping somethings lie anyway. Whatever they are, let them lie, particularly if they're newborn babies who don't go the fuck to sleep. I have no idea how I've ended up on this stream of consciousness. You can tell it's been a bit of a week. Successes this week in the midst of COVID. Jamie's birthday cake was a triumph. Even if I do say so myself, posted it up on social media, so hopefully you've seen it. I mean, it was a bit of a cheat this year because obviously it was a reworking of the one that I'd done last year. But this year I was prepared for the fucking hours it takes to press out little marzipan squares. All my kids' cakes are always done with marzipan because none of us like fondant icing. It's a deeply suspicious subject, fondant icing, because in theory it's like pure sugar, right? So it should be like catnip to any child, although don't give catnip to your children, just in case you think I'm offering out health advice here. Don't give catnip to your children. But I never liked it, and my children have never liked it, because it's too much, isn't it? It's like, oh God, sugar, like my face. So we do marzipan instead. So great success. I mean, I think my hands will probably remain a kind of vague shade of kind of like violet blue, probably sometime into the next millennia, because fuck me, that food dye has dyed my hands. But yeah, it's been a big success. And then today, because Beth's birthday's tomorrow, so I was like, right, birthday cake number 1 done, tick. And then on to Beth's cake, which, as I said last week, Beth didn't want a proper cake. She wanted a jelly cake. Fine, easy. Looked it up, not a problem. I'm thinking to myself, I can do this. And where I always go wrong is I convince myself that I'm completely capable of being more ambitious than is the reality. Because what I should have gone for is like, let's go old school. Nice, bright red, strawberry jelly, in a mould, done. What I convinced myself it would be a good idea to do would be to make a rainbow jelly cake. Now that does, in theory, it sounds quite easy, doesn't it? Because it's like layers on top of one or the other, and obviously 7 layers, 7 colours in the rainbow. Gonna make that 6 because violet and indigo. Who is there a difference between those 2 colours? I'm nearly 40. I don't know if there is. So I was like, okay, 6 layers, I can do this. But then I saw a picture online where somebody had done like white layers of like condensed milk jelly between. I thought, oh, that looks really nice. So consequently, I found myself completely housebound for the day because I just hadn't in my head clocked. So I was like, oh, it's a jelly. I'd make the jelly and it sets. But of course, you have to do 1 layer at a time and you have to let each layer set. And it's like half an hour at least between layers. So it's now nearly 6 o'clock and I started at 9 o'clock this morning and I've just done the final layer. And of course, with a jelly mould, you can't really see how it's working out. So I've got a really horrible feeling that I'm going to turn it out later tonight or tomorrow morning. And my hard work day of like making all the layers carefully on top of one another will be totally fucking wasted because they'll all have bled into one another and it'll have gone brown. I'll have made a brown cake, brown jelly cakes. That's what everybody wants for their birthday, isn't it? A brown jelly cake. So yeah, well, we'll see how that one works out. I'll post a picture regardless on Instagram. I believe in sharing, the life in all its honesty. I'm sure Beth will give me feedback. She is never backwards in coming forward. So yeah, that's the next challenge. But yeah, Beth's birthday tomorrow, which I will definitely be trying to make as special as you can when none of you can leave the fucking house. Fucking COVID. Fuck's sake. And then it's a week today. Oh my goodness, it's the last week of my 30s because my 40th birthday is next Saturday. Clearly, I'm now waiting to see if I'm going to end up spending my 40th birthday in isolation. Although I am also feeling simultaneously really smug because lots of people tried to persuade me earlier in the year to be like, oh, it's going to be absolutely fine, everybody will have the vaccines by then and COVID will be under control and be fine. And I was thinking to myself, yeah, I know the kind of number of bugs that my kids usually get going back to school in a typical school year, let alone a COVID school year. So I am a little bit now doing the I was right dance, but it's not a very good I was right dance because I really, obviously would not ideally want to be in isolation on my birthday. But then I think, well, most of us have done it, haven't we, at some point in the last 18 months? Most of us have been stuck in at home. So I'm sure I'll find something great. Maybe I'll make another jelly cake. Maybe I'll do a rework of what may be a brown jelly cake. That will be a suitable way to mark my 40th. So yeah, we'll see what happens there. But I thought, therefore, that I was kind of like thinking today, and I was putting together today's podcast. I was like, oh my goodness, that's like I could review the last decade. I could look back at my 30s, and then I realised that I was clearly hitting 40 because I was like, I haven't got a fucking clue what happened in the last 10 years. That's terrible, isn't it? 10 years, which does time do this to everybody else? Like simultaneously, time like starts to speed up and go really fast and also really slowly. It's weird. Time is weird. Don't trust it. But yeah, I thought it'd be nice to do a little bit of a trip down memory lane of some of the kind of the highlights of my 30s, and some of these I've shared on here before, and some of these I haven't. So I think, you know, these are kind of for me the notable moments of kind of the key moments of my 30s, which I think for me was when I thought that I would become a proper adult. And if 39-year-old me could tell 29-year-old me anything, it would have been, no, mate, no, you are going to do another 10 years and still not have a fucking clue how to adult. So maybe by the time I hit 50, does it come then? My older listeners, maybe by then I'll get the hang of adulting. But I do still now in a crisis look around for an adult to help me adult. It's, yeah, still a challenge. So 30s, I mean, they kicked off. So Beth would have been 2, I think. 1, 2 when I kicked off. Oh yeah, I've just realised she's turning 11. Clearly I can do the simple maths. God fucking hell. Clearly my maths skills didn't improve during my 30s. So she would have just turned 1 when I turned 30. And I celebrated my 30th. I was in London. My mum very, very kindly had both my children for the day. As I recall, Beth was teething at the time. So when people say to me, what was your best present for your 30th? It was my mum having teething Beth for a day and a night, absolutely off the scale. Thank you, mummy, I love you. So yeah, so we had kind of like the kids. So I think the start of my 30s were a little bit of a blur, really, because I was doing that thing where I was trying to recapture my old life that you have pre-children that just like disappears, and trying to do that while still being absolutely fucking knackered, because you are when you've got 2 kids that are like 1 and 4. So yeah, I think early 30s were a little bit of a blur. I think probably the earliest notable moment in my 30s probably was the one which I've definitely told on here before, which was, if we're going for Friends style episodes, this was categorically the one with all the poo. So if you're a long time reader or listener, feel free to make yourself a cup of tea. But for anybody who's new, this was definitely the moment when I went, what the fuck, potty training's a good thing. So it was a July summer's evening, and we were yet to have, oh, hang on, can this even be in my 30s? Oh my goodness, I just realised I don't think we had Beth. No, we did have Beth. Did we have Beth? I've got no clue. Oh my goodness, old age is hitting hard. So, okay, this is either very early 30s or right at the end of my 20s. Either way, it was shit, both literal and metaphorical. So we were sitting at home, me and Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking, and Jamie was like newly potty trained, and anybody who's ever potty trained a child, you'll know it's like walking around everywhere with an unexploded bomb, like literally like, oh my God, when's it going to go off? When's it going to go off? But also, you absolutely jump. The first hint that your child needs the toilet, and you are like fucking Usain Bolt sprinting over, here's the potty, darling! Poo in the potty, not on the floor, poo in the potty, not on the floor. So we put Jamie to bed, and we put on one of those kind of like nighttime nappies, which cringeworthily, and you know, I believe in being honest on these podcasts, cringeworthily, I used to refer to as sleepy pants. Oh yeah, now I know that's made me go. I'm doing like a clenched face. If you could see me here now doing clenched face. I don't know what possessed me. Sleep deprivation. I blame sleep deprivation. So put Jamie to bed, and we had the baby monitor on, and then kind of like we got the cry through the baby monitor, and it was Jamie saying, Mummy, Daddy, I need a poo. So I was like a whippet, like a rat up a drain pipe. I was like straight up there, boom. Here's Mummy, here you go, darling, well done. Come and sit on the toilet, come and sit on the potty, come and have a poo. And he did. He took off his sleepy pants. I'm so sorry. Like I say, sleep deprivation. He took off his nighttime nappy, sat down on the potty, had a poo, fantastic, wiped his bottom, washed his hands, put on nighttime nappy, and back to bed. And I was like, oh my goodness. I said, I know I need to stop talking. Look at this. He's doing this amazingly. Our little boy's growing up. This is amazing. And I kind of celebrated that halo to halo glow for probably about 20 minutes when the cry came again. Mummy, Daddy, I need a poo. So I said, Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking this time, because I was like, right, I've done one. And also, this must surely be like a male bonding thing. You guys go and crack on. So he disappeared, came back about 5-10 minutes later. Yep, he's had another poo on the potty, put on a new nighttime nappy, sleepy pants, nighttime nappy. And, oh God, I can't believe I used that phrase. Oh, anyway, moving on. And he was lying back down. 10 minutes passed. Mummy, Daddy, I need a poo. I looked at Mr. I Don't Need to Stop Talking. I was like, what the fuck? You had a poo with you, right? And he's like, yeah. I said, he had a poo with me. How many poos is he going to have? The answer, listeners, is a fuckload of poos. So I went up again. He took off his nighttime nappy. He sat on the potty. He pooed. That's 3 poos so far. In case anybody's keeping count, that's 3 poos. Put it down the toilet, washed his hands. And I was going to say, without going into too much information, but clearly we are well already, if you followed me for any period of time, any vague interlude into my life is well into the realms of TMI. All of these poos were like healthy poos, right? He wasn't poorly, he was quite happy. These were healthy, fucking large poos. Put him back to bed. Wait a bit longer. Mummy, Daddy, I need a poo. Oh, I was like, fuck off, do you need a poo? So I was like, I'm just going to ignore him. Mr. I know I need to stop talking. I was like, just ignore him, So we waited for about 5 minutes, and his screams, he was like, probably, I need a poo. And I was like, oh, he needs a poo. And I was like, fuck's sake. So I went back upstairs, and he's like, his face lit up. He's like, I need a poo, delighted, because like, it's like a new skill. He's like one of those fucking vending machines. It just kept coming. So I was like, okay, go and sit on your potty. I was like the first time I was like, darling, you're amazing. By like the 4th time, I'm like, here's your potty, sit on your potty, have a poo, another fucking poo. Where's it coming from? He's like, what do you watch? I get you your book. I remember I was reading a Jane Green book at the time. I said, I get your book. So he carried me around my Jane Green book, sat on the end of the bed with my book, watching him shit. He had another poo, and he went into the bathroom with the poo. And this is where it all starts to go horribly wrong. So he went into the bathroom, and he was reaching that age where he wanted to be independent. And you encourage that because you're like, brilliant, well done. Slow hand clap because it's the 4th fucking poo, but you know, well done, had another poo. And he turned to go and pour the poo into the toilet, and he slipped on the floor, and he hurled the potty across the room, and the poo went flying and disappeared. It disappeared in my ensuite, in my bathroom. It fucking disappeared. We'd lost the poo. We'd lost the poo. How the fuck do you lose a poo? We'd lost the poo. We had lost the poo. So I'm like, okay, everybody keep calm. I think I was mostly talking to myself. Everybody keep calm. I was like, right, we've lost the poo, Jamie. I shall find the poo. And so I'm down on my hands and my knees on the ensuite, wading in urine, looking for a fugitive poo on a Wednesday night in July. Fuck my life. And so it was as I was there, on my hands and knees, looking for the poo, which I eventually located behind the cistern of the toilet, FYI, that Jamie behind me said in delighted tones, I have another poo! Slipped in his own piss, and hurled the potty, the poo, and the piss onto the middle of me, my back, and my head. It was like the world's worst Cirque du Soleil routine, and then in the silence that followed, he said to me, there are we as well. Yes, Jamie, yes, I know there's a fucking we, because it's halfway up my fucking back, and in my hair, and in my fucking ears. Fuck my life. So yeah, that was a nice defining moment of my 30s or possibly my late 20s. You can see why maybe I don't remember the exact date because I'm clearly emotionally scarred from the whole experience. But yeah, that was a treat. That was a treat. So yeah, that was definitely a shit-themed memorable moment, which neatly leads on to perhaps, and so next kind of key moment of my 30s is, of course, your first child starts school. Jamie starts school, and this was the day, the one where Jamie started school and lost his shit completely. And again, being very honest on this one, this is definitely one where pride came before a fall, because Jamie had gone to nursery from the age of 6 months. So while lots of my friends were understandably really nervous about their kids starting school, I was so sanguine. I was literally the smug so-and-so who was like kind of going, oh yeah, well, you know, I'm sure like Jamie will be absolutely fine because he's been in nursery 6 months. He'll probably just run in without a backwards glance. What a twat. What a twat. But to be honest, when I got there on his first day, it felt like my smug ways were like going to be proved out, because he did. He said, bye-bye, mummy, gave me a kiss and a cuddle, went into school, such a good boy. I was like, oh my goodness, look at this. I'm parenting. I'm winning parenting prizes. I mean, there are no parenting prizes, but if there were, I would be winning them right now. And as I had that exact thought, I heard this commotion from behind me. And a wailing, screaming, raging Jamie rush out of school, Mummy! Being closely followed by his class teacher and, even more mortifyingly, the headmistress whose legs he'd just run through. There's not a window! Because it turns out I'm a fucking idiot. And Jamie had gone happily into nursery for the last 4 years, but he'd done so on the proviso that there was a very clear window that he could go in and stand next to and wave out, so that when I drove out from the nursery car park, he was waving, he could see mummy go. And of course I'd sent him into school, there were no fucking windows, and I looked like the biggest prick on the planet. Yeah, so that's how to make a entrance. Oh, I'm still a little bit mortified now. And then I had to kind of like, kind of just try and start it out and be like, oh yeah, no, he does that all the time. That's part of our like saying goodbye routine. I've got to go now, bye. Yeah, still vaguely mortified by that one. Another key moment of my 30s, moved house. And in fact, for me, this was the first house I'd ever bought, because when I moved to where we live now, Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking already had the house. So I never bought a house. And I think probably like most people who start the house buying process, I did so in this completely deluded haze of excitement and, oh my goodness, I'm going to get my own place and it's going to be amazing. And it was hell. The house buying and selling process is hell in England, and I think other countries have got this shit sorted out, because I know it's better elsewhere. Even elsewhere in the UK it's better, but in England it is fucking hell. And we found a lovely house, and that was the thing, we sold our house really quickly. We found a lovely house, we had our offer accepted, and I was like, oh, it's easy, I don't know why everybody makes such a fuss, what a twat. And then we lost not one, not two, not three, but 4 different buyers, and our souls were destroyed in the process. We had, I think, the offer accepted on this house, I think I'm right in saying it was June, and we moved in the middle of November in a 3 property chain, so not even a long chain, and it fucking destroyed my soul. And I'm sure, I don't know anybody who's ever moved house and gone, oh, it's amazing. Like, it's, everybody starts off in that, oh, I'm moving house and it's fantastic and I'm really excited. And then you like see them gradually, they age in the process. I definitely aged in the process. I think that was probably my key aging point of my 30s, was trying to find a fucking buyer who would stick to actually move house. And I would excuse, therefore, my behaviour on the day we moved house by the fact that I was just broken by the process. So when we did finally move, and it happened to be on a day, and by that point I would have moved on any day, it happened to be a day when Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking absolutely had to be in work. So again, because I'd never moved house, I was like, it'll be fine, I'll do the move on my own, it'll be easy. I mean, obviously I wasn't quite on my own. I had a brilliant team of removal guys who'd also packed up the whole house. I mean, if I can give you one piece of advice, the only piece of advice I'm equipped to give you about the house buying process, well, no, there's 2. One is buy lots of gin, because you will need it, and 2 is pay for packers. From memory, I think our packers, I think it only cost an extra £200 to get our removal people to pack, and it was the best £200 I have ever spent in my life. However, one small downside, because they do all the packing, you don't really get up close and personal with your furniture, because they're doing it all and you're just kind of like sitting there and, yeah, watching them pack, and it's wonderful and marvellous. And then we got to the new house, and I'd spent the whole morning like cleaning the rooms of the house as we kind of left them to leave it nice for the new people moving in. And then followed the removal people to the new house. We had the key, thankfully, because our the estate agents, the people we bought the house from were dreadful, to the point that the people we bought the house from were absolutely lovely, and they'd invited us over the previous weekend for champagne and to show us around the house and show us all the idiosyncrasies. And really importantly, they gave us the key to the house, because even now, what are we, 6 years on from moving in? Those estate agents have still never actually given me the key to the house that I own. So bravo, if that's you, bravo. But yes, we got there and we opened the door, and then the removal guys were like, okay, so we're going to have a system. You've got all the downstairs room. We're going to number the bedrooms. I failed so miserably on the numbering of the bedrooms. They were like, okay, so this one's 1, it's 2, 3, 4. I forgot every single time they brought an item of furniture in. Which bedroom is it? 1, no, 3, 4, 5. You haven't got 5 bedrooms. Oh, sorry, shit. I was dreadful. But where I really abjectly failed was in recognising my own furniture, because I don't know about anybody else, I would recognise my furniture in the position that it's in the house. But I tell you now, if you fancy a fun family game, maybe you too are in isolation. So here we go, fun family game for you for birthday parties or other festive celebrations. Get people to take items of furniture out of the room from the place that they're in and rotate them like 180, 90 degrees, something like that, and then carry them past you and get them to say to you, which room does this go in? Now, I happened to have my stepdaughter with me on the day. She'd come after she'd finished college, and I was like, brilliant, right, the 2 of us, we can do this, no problem. So these guys bring the furniture in. So they brought in, I think it was like a chest of drawers or something, and they said, so where do you want this? And I looked at my stepdaughter, and she looked at me, and we were like, no, that's not ours. And the removal guy, who, clearly was hot and knackered and carrying heavy furniture, was like, what? And I was like, no, that's not ours. You must have got it mixed up. And he looked at me incredulous and went, you have literally watched me put all of your furniture into this van. And I was like, yeah, I've never seen that. Have you? And my stepdaughter was like, no, I've never seen that. And he turned it round and we were like, oh, it's that piece of furniture. Now, if we'd just done that once, it wouldn't be too bad. But we did that 15, 20 times. I'm so sorry to my removal team. I'm so sorry. They were amazing. And I did tip them very, very, very generously. But yeah, that was a clusterfuck. But we were in, and the house is amazing. And I've almost forgotten the hell of the move, other than whenever Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking to Myself ever says, should we ever move again? We're like, no, never again. No, aged me about 30 years in the process. Talking of ageing, my 30s have also been notable for not one, but two, I'm going to call them moments of medical hysteria. I think other people would call it hypochondria. But talking to my friends, I feel like this is quite common, that we all go through periods of time in our health when we absolutely categorically convince ourselves we are dying. And I had this not once but twice in my 30s. And to be honest, it coloured quite a few months of my 30s, because I was also then kind of going, well, I feel like I'm dying. I had this whole range of weird symptoms. And clearly, if you Google symptoms, Dr. Google every time is like, yeah, fucking dead. I'll get your funeral plan made out now, mate. You're not long for this world. And Dr. Google tells you that enough times. You believe it. I believed it. Obviously, the logical amongst you are going, well, if you're worried, why didn't you go and see a doctor? And that is a very valid question to which I do not have a good answer. But yeah, I had a series of weird symptoms that probably went on for 2 or 3 years. And in hindsight, I think had gone on for much longer than that. And I did eventually go and see a doctor. And the NHS were amazing, and they ran all kinds of tests. And we kind of got closer and closer to what it was. And then I had a brilliant altercation with a GP who was probably close to retirement, and he's an absolute delight. I think he has now retired. I hope he's now retired, because we just had this lovely interaction, me and him, when I went into his surgery. And he said hello, and I said hello, and he said, okay, so he said, what's brought you here today then? And I said, well, I've got some concerns. He said, okay, cool. So what do you think's wrong with you? And I did a bit of a double take, because I was like, sure, that's what medical school's for. Are you not the expert here? Then I was thinking, no, thanks to my hours with Dr. Google, I probably can help you out here. So anyway, he and him had a delightful conversation, which I in the end actually ended up suggesting, well, maybe you could try blood tests. Oh, he said that's a good idea. So to be fair to him, he was great in a manner, and actually Dr. Google on that occasion proved to be right, and I ended up with a diagnosed wheat allergy, which is nowhere near as serious as celiac disease, so I don't wish to in any way minimise the hell there is. I've got friends who've got celiac disease, and it's unbelievably restrictive and has such big impact. But actually, wheat allergies, and I think mine's grade 3 out of 4, so it's reasonably severe. So I gave up at that point wheat and most gluten, and oh my goodness, it's like transformed my life. I didn't realise that normal people don't always shit through the eye of a needle. Every day's a school day. Like I said, I'm sorry if we're going into too much information, but I figure if you follow me and listen to the podcast, then hopefully by now you're fairly unshockable. So I that was kind of one thing, and then I had to persevere a lot longer with the other one, and genuinely, like, I'm delighted to be out the other side, but at the time, it was shit. Health anxiety is shit, and I don't think of myself as someone who has massive health anxiety. Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking is listening to this. He would be laughing his head off going, you literally come back to me every day and tell me that you're dying of something, which I do, but that's Dr. Google for you, I think. But it took a long, hard slog of thinking I was dying and going to see my GP and kind of having some tests and not getting anywhere. And then eventually, I finally got the diagnosis that my thyroid was absolutely fucked. That's the technical term there. My thyroid was absolutely fucked. And it was completely and utterly fucked, to the point that when I eventually saw a specialist, he was like, you might as well have no thyroid at all. Oh, good. And it's been miraculous how, with the right dose of thyroxine, which they have to build up gradually over a period of time, all of the weird symptoms, and I mean, there were so many. I mean, it was literally anything from like dizziness to slurring my speech to weird pins and needles to just so many different things. I find it miraculous now, genuinely, how all of that was cleared up so effectively once I started on the right course of treatment. But thyroid disease can be a really difficult one to pin down. So if you were in your 30s or your 40s or your 20s or whatever, and you've got weird symptoms, I always say to my friends and my colleagues, get them to run some tests on your thyroid. Get them to check, because mine was, in technical terms, absolutely fucked. Obviously, my 30s, certainly the latter part, have been sort of characterised by a lot of football, and it's been such a joy and such a privilege to see Beth's footballing journey. And I chronicled it on here the other week, so I won't repeat myself. But seeing her go from, literally not being able to kick a football to successfully trialling for the girls' team that she now plays with, has been amazing. And I would like to think that in that time my approach to wet weather gear and sensible footwear has improved, but I am still pretty frequently the twat to be found standing on the sidelines in the pouring rain in stilettos and a fur coat. So my aim for my 40s is maybe to get some more practical wet weather clothing. It just doesn't look very nice. I'm sorry, I'm a wet weather clothing snob. I'm sure there's some nice stuff out there. I've got a good umbrella, so we're all good. Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking and I celebrated 10 years of marriage in my 30s. That was like cool and mental and the coldest, windiest fucking night on earth. So we got married in March in the Lake District, actually. We got married up by Lake Hullswater, which is absolutely stunning. And so 10 years of marriage, we were like, okay, we should go away, we're going to celebrate. It was a bit of a trek to get to the Lake District, and the Lake District in March is not necessarily known for great weather conditions. So I was like, no worries, we'll book somewhere closer to home. And because it was our 10th anniversary, we'd splashed out, we'd gone for the big, kind of like bridal honeymoon suite, which had its own private hot tub. I was so excited. I was like, well, it doesn't matter if it's not particularly warm, we can still enjoy our own private hot tub. And I don't know if you've ever seen footage of people when they're like climbing Everest and like there's like lashing rain or snow and wind howling around them. Well, when we arrived at this hotel on our wedding anniversary, the weather conditions were basically that. It was like gale force winds, driving rain. But I was like, it's a hot tub. Hot tubs are warm. We'll be fine. And it turns out hot tubs are generally warm until you put one on the side of a hotel on a 3rd floor balcony in howling winds and lashing rain. And oh my God, I've got photos of us for the way, because I was like, I've paid for this, I'm going in the fucking hot tub. I've got photos of, I was going to say us, I think it was just me by this point, because Mr. I Know I Need to Stop Talking had very sensibly gone, it's fucking freezing. Got a really nice bath inside, we could go in that, now I need to use the hot tub. And the only way I can describe my expression is clenched. Very, very clenched, fucking hell. It was very, 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 very fucking cold. But 10 years of marriage, that was amazing. So my aim for 20 years of marriage in the next decade is to try and find somewhere slightly warmer, slightly less inclement than the side of that hotel. That was something else. Wrote a motherfucking book in my 30s, didn't I? Never thought that would happen. Like, mental. I wrote 2 motherfucking books, and I'm so grateful for so much in my life. But I think that still is one of those fairy tale moments that I never, ever, ever thought would come true or would happen to me, and it would never ever have happened without all of you guys. So thank you so much for that. I'm so grateful to every single one of you who supports my writing, and I'm so grateful. And of course, couldn't finish a roundup on my 30s without perhaps the most memorable moment of all, when I made headline news and was read about by over 30 million readers right around the globe for my hashtag celebrity flaps. And still my proudest moment ever was the text that I got from my dad. I love my daddy. I love you so much, Daddy. And it was when I kept my parents up to date with what was going on. And I sort of said to him, that kind of this is going on. And I said, so, what do you think about this whole hashtag celebrity flaps scandal? And he replied to me in a WhatsApp message that I've still got, and he said, I have no idea what a celebrity flap is, but I am, as always, very proud of you. And goodness me, you've been lucky in life when you've got parents even when your front bottom's been chatted about on global media right around the world, they still turn around and go, yeah, we're really proud of you. So I definitely winning at life. But yeah, celebrity flaps. Who would have thought that very briefly in my 30s I would have perhaps the most famous front bottom in the world? Notoriety. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But I'm so grateful. I am so grateful for everything my 30s have brought me. I'm excited for my 40s. Excited to be early something again. When you have to be like, I'm late 30s and like, I'm early 40s. I'm like a young spring chicken. Look at me trying to kid myself. But I am really excited, and I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for everything that I have. And I'm so grateful for all of you guys, because genuinely a lot of that stuff would not have happened without all of you. So thanks. Thanks so much. Right, I've really fucking rambled on, haven't I? I feel like I've gone on for ages. I haven't got a clock. It's probably been hours. Hey, Ocado haven't come though. That's good. They're not due to come till 7 to 8. I've pushed them back. a little bit. But the trouble with Ocado is they're so efficient that sometimes they do turn up early and they always ring to ask me first. But they haven't phoned, so they're not here yet. Better go and fold my Ocado bags into samosa shapes, hadn't I? Maybe that's what I'll do if I am in self-isolation for my 40th. Maybe I'll spend the evening folding my Ocado bags into samosas. That's tragic, isn't it? I'll try and do something a bit more interesting than that. So you may hear from me next week, because if I am self-isolating, I probably will do a podcast. So I may be here next week. If not, I'll have a week's break and I'll be back the following week. But regardless, I hope that you all have good weeks. I hope you're all keeping safe and looking after yourselves. Please take care. Please look after yourselves. Thank you so much for all the support you give this mad little corner of the internet. I'm so fucking grateful for you all. And I can justifiably sign off with my usual sign off without fear of mortifying myself in front of my colleagues. So take care, loves. Have lovely weeks. And I'll speak to you all either on my 40th or very shortly after it. Take care. Lots of love. Bye-bye.